On a modern pilgrimage of goodwill, a graceful reminder of a common heritage, the Mayflower II approached Plymouth Rock, Massachusetts, after a 54-day Atlantic crossing from Plymouth in Devon.
The Mayflower II was a replica vessel of the Mayflower that set sail from Plymouth in 1620. The original ship was carrying 102 passengers known as saints and strangers. The strangers were adventurers and tradesmen seeking a fresh start in a foreign land. The saints, also known as separatists or pilgrims, were religious Puritans who wanted a life free from the Church of England and to start a new, stricter church in America.
So they didn't know what they were going to find and went across to what was then described as the New World, and they just about got away with it. Within 12 months, half of them were dead.
Encountering storms in the Atlantic, the crossing was perilous, and once they arrived, they were unprepared for the harsh winters.
Didn't know how to farm there, they didn't know how to live, the weather was terrible, they were ill prepared, and if it wasn't for the intervention of the Wampanoag, those Native Americans there, they wouldn't have survived at all.
The Pilgrims and their values of courage went on to shape the United States we know today, with around 35 million Americans claiming descent from the early settlers. But while there was some cooperation with the Native Americans, the Pilgrims also displaced them and imported diseases that killed them.
And I suppose the real truth that's come out of this story is there are two sides to it. There is the kind of noble pilgrims taking Christianity and democratic values to give birth to the great American nation. And there's also the impact of mass colonization and land exploitation on the Native Americans and the virtual genocide of the Wampanoag Nation.
4 centuries to the day since the ship sailed out of Plymouth Harbour, there's fanfare for a new Mayflower being launched. Unlike its wooden predecessor, the Mayflower 400 is a sleek, solar-powered, autonomous vessel.
So it's powered by an AI captain who's responsible for driving the ship. And the inside of the ship, because it's autonomous, doesn't need any crew, and therefore there needs to be no space for sleeping quarters or food supplies or galleys or toilets or anything. So the whole space is given over to science experiments.
Next year, the Mayflower 400 will follow in its forebearer's wake by crossing the Atlantic from Plymouth in England to Plymouth in Massachusetts. But this time its sole purpose will be marine research, not founding a new colony. Sarah Morice, TRT World.